Reimagining Success, episode 248. You're listening to the Reimagining Success podcast, where we help you design a business and a life that allows you freedom from the 9 to 5. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg, ex-corporate good girl, now a business mentor and coach, author, mum of 2, and I'm here to help you create more freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. Now let's get started with redefining success outside of the 9 to 5. Welcome back to the podcast, and I have a slightly different episode for you this week, especially because last week was very tangible. We did a website audit, very hardcore. We pulled up our website and we asked some questions around the messaging being clear, the call to action, the navigation, and so on. And to sort of round off this month, I do still have an interview for you next week, because it is a long month, July this year. But to round things off, I had a couple of you actually asked me this the last few weeks, and it's been something I've been pondering because I think it's really important, which is, how do you stay anchored to your vision? Okay, you've got this incredible ambition, goal, vision of the future. How do you keep that vision top of mind, especially, I guess, when you get stuck in the weeds of, you know, the ins and outs of the day-to-day tech website audits and less sexy things and the financials and life happens and everything, right? So I have 5 ways for you today that you can keep your vision top of mind. And of course, if you have another strategy, another way of doing this that I haven't mentioned, because I'm sure there are many others, I'd love to hear from you. You can message me on Instagram, Anna S.E. Lundberg. The S.E., by the way, is Sophia Elizabeth, because Anna Lundberg is a very common name in Sweden. So some of my handles, I've just chosen to go with Anna S.E. Lundberg. Luckily, I do have the website, annalundberg.com, because my dad had the foresight in the 90s, whenever it was, to get that domain. So thank you, Dad. But there you go. So you can connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or email me at podcast@onestepoutside.com. I'd love to hear your feedback and your ideas. But in the meantime, these are 5 ways that I've come up with to keep your vision top of mind. And I suppose first, of course, I have to lay the groundwork here to briefly look at why this is so important. And given that you're asking me this question, I think that it obviously is important. But it's important because you need to remember what it is you want in order to actually take the actions that will get you there. It's important because it's going to keep you motivated through the inevitable ups and downs, the difficulties along the way. It's going to keep you focused on the right things and really help you stay committed, to have that conviction, to have the confidence to show up consistently and work on those goals, because you have them right front and center, and you know exactly what you're working towards, right? So it gives you the clarity, it gives you the emotional connection with that vision. It makes it so much more meaningful, and it really helps to connect you with your why. So with that out of the way, let's look at those 5 ways to keep your vision top of mind. The first one is a not very sexy one, but I think it has to be on my list. It's to regularly review your goals. So we had an episode recently where we looked at the quarterly mid-year review. So of course, and I don't know what your vision is it usually we set goals for the next year, but your vision is probably slightly more extended, maybe to the next 3 to 5 years, let's say. So you have that vision set for the big picture, and then you need to be breaking that down into goals, right? So to make that vision real, it then needs to be translated into, okay, what do you want to do the next 12 months, 6 months, 3 months? So we do annual reviews, quarterly reviews, monthly, in particular when it's business related, of course, but for any goal, whether it's fitness related or relationship related, weekly. And then by all means, more regularly, you can be journaling first thing in the morning before you go to bed, whatever it is that you like to do to stay on top of the things you're working on. I found some of these things a little bit difficult now with little kids. I just don't have control of my mornings, for example, and in the evening I'm very tired. But I can kind of bookend my day with, when I sit down at my desk, I can start with a particular exercise at the end of the day before I wrap up. And I certainly do have a journal by the bed where I can, from time to time, relatively regularly write there as well. But the first way is really to regularly review a goal. So if you're not doing that, that's an easy place to start. The second is then related to that, having daily reminders, and that's really tangible as well. I talked about the journal there, but find yourself a planner. I'd love to develop a planner, so that's a little bit on my bucket list, to create something that supports you and supports clients in my programs. But Find yourself a planner that I haven't created for you, but that works for you. I've used several over the years, and where you can really set your intentions for, the week. I've got one that's a 90-day planner, sort of an evergreen one that, again, I'm setting the intentions for the 90 days so the 3 months for each month, for the week, for the day. And just remind yourself of what your intentions are for each day. So that's just getting even more specific. Now, the next three are a bit more creative and a bit more, I'll let you be the judge of that. The third one certainly is one that I'm sure you've heard about before, and I've talked about it. But I meet people who are coaches who say, yeah, I always recommend people to do it, but I don't do it myself. So if that's you, please have a go. It is the vision board. So this is, if you're not familiar with this idea, a collection of images, words, that remind you of what you're working towards, right? So the most organic way of doing this is grabbing, and I've done this with clients, right? You get a group of friends together if you want to, grab lots of different magazines from different types of, I was going to say industries, but yeah, different areas. It could be sports, wellness magazines, business magazines, travel magazines, just so you get a range of different pictures and words and things, and then just flip through and cut out words and images that resonate with you. And that's the most natural way of doing it. Now, I'm quite digital, so I have also, especially when I'm a bit more clear as to what I want, I've Googled images, and then you can obviously copy paste into a Keynote. You can make it the screensaver of your computer, which, by the way, even if you don't do a vision board, having the desktop wallpaper being something can be a great anchor of your vision as well. Or you can do a Pinterest board that you scroll through now and then. But if you do any of those things, I guess the Pinterest or the digital one, then yeah, you do want to, because the question here is how we keep it top of mind, print it out, put it out in front of you, fold it up in your wallet, put it on your fridge, keep it by your computer, and make it your desktop background to remind you of what you're working towards, because that's the real key here. So a vision board. Now, the next one is a quote. And if you have been lucky enough, and I know many of us do find a quote that really resonates and really reflects where we are at this stage and what we're working towards, then that can be really powerful. Again, you can have that as your background, as a screensaver. Just have it. I had a framed quote that I have that's probably been lost in the move somewhere. It's probably in my cupboard back in our broken house, which is hopefully not so broken when this episode goes out. But I had, discipline is remembering what you want. And that was really important for me at the time. It may mean nothing to you, but it meant a lot to me. It's that idea of showing up consistently, the stuff, the accountability, the persistence and so on, that isn't particularly fun and exciting at the time, but it's remembering that actually that's what's going to get you to where you want. So if I want to be a best-selling author, then having the discipline to show up every day and write and so on is what's going to get me there. If I want to run a marathon, then having the discipline to train over and over again is obviously going to get me there. So having a quote, again, print it out, journaling, putting on your desktop, etc. And then the final one, and I hope this has given you, it feels very short, this little episode, but I hope it's given you a little idea as to what you could do. This one maybe is a bit more unusual, is having some kind of token. So for me, the thing that comes to mind is a shell, because I wanted to live by the sea, which I am now doing. Obviously, it was thanks to the shell. So having a shell on my desk to remind myself that I want to be by the sea, and that's what I'm working towards. Some kind of physical token. Obviously, I had that framed quote. It could be an image. It could be a graphic. It could be a picture. But a physical item that reminds you of what you're working towards, why it's important. You know what? It could be your why. It could be, let's say you have a young family and that's your why, or an inspiring, perhaps a relative who passed away, who's always been kind of your beacon, the person that you're really inspired by, and you're kind of doing this for them. It feels like, someone that reminds you of what you're working towards. It could be a cuddly toy or something like that. So those are 5 ways to keep your vision top of mind. And maybe they're not super complicated, but it doesn't need to be complicated, right? The point is, you don't just want to sit and do this vision and dream things up and then just go, we go on holiday, we go away on an incredible retreat, and we have a weekend away. We come back to our day job, in many cases, back to that corporate grind. And before we know, we've forgotten entirely what we decided that we were going to do. So that's what we don't want to have happening to you. So make sure you're regularly reviewing your goals, have daily reminders, using some kind of planner or journaling routine to set your intentions every day. create a vision board and then have it front and center, desktop, screensaver, framed, fridge magnet, whatever. A quote that can be really meaningful to you, or a token, a physical item that you can find that really represents. By the way, I've talked before about the big rocks, which comes from Stephen Covey, and I teach that a lot in a webinar on time management that I do for corporate. And every time I do it, I'm like, I need this prop. I really need to. So I'm going to, please hold me accountable to this. I want to buy a jar with 5 big rocks to put in, or at least a rock. And I'm just thinking now that could be a token too, right? To remind yourself. So if you're not familiar with the big rocks, it's the big rocks are the big meaningful things in your life. It could be your role. I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, and so on. Or it could be areas of your life. So it could be my 5 L's. I've got my wellness and health. I've got my personal development and growth, etc. But it's the big rocks that you want to put in first, and then allow the little gravel and grit and sand to fall in around it. So that could be a visual representation. There's the book by David Allen, Eat the Frog. You might want to have a little frog in front of you. I have a little Yoda, actually. I'm just suddenly coming up with all these things that I had. I had a little Yoda. There was a little mentor guide that was really valuable. I had a little turtle. Anyone else know that song? It's in my head from the kids. I had a little, literally vial, and I'm sorry for this if this is cultural misappropriation. But when I was in Peru, there was a market that had witches, and that was obviously very exciting. I'm descended from witches, so maybe it's not misappropriation if I'm from that background myself. And it had I could choose it had a plane on it to represent the adventure that I wanted. It had a couple, and I wanted to meet someone. It was very meaningful to me, albeit like a silly thing, perhaps you might think, but for me, that was really meaningful. So, whatever it is for you, have that front and center, your token, physical token. So again, I'd love to hear from you. If you have a token, your favorite quote, how you found the experience of vision boarding, because I know people can have mixed feelings about that. If you have a favorite planner, journal, give me all the goods, please. Message me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can email me at podcast@onestepatside.com. But I hope there was something in there for you, maybe a token, maybe a quote that you can use. And again, if you want to share your own thing that you've come up with, then I'd love to hear from you. Share it on Instagram if you're up for it and tag me. That would be really lovely to inspire other people as well. But thanks so much. I hope that was useful, and I'll see you back here next week for I think our final interview for this month. And then it's August. What is happening to 2023? I'll see you next week. Bye for now. There is so much incredible information out there that's going to help you build and grow your business. However, what is missing from all this is the personalized feedback, support with troubleshooting, and tailored guidance that's really designed to help you in your particular situation with your specific challenges. Introducing the Business Incubator, a mentoring program focused on exactly that: implementation, support, and accountability to help experienced corporate professionals like you grow your expert business faster without sacrificing your personal life to do so. You'll get expert guidance and personal feedback to help you focus on the right things at the right time, comprehensive training materials and frameworks to support you, but above all, you will get weekly structure and accountability to help you identify your priorities, stay focused, and review your progress. And you'll get a supportive community of people who get it, who are going to cheer you on and share their lessons learned. So this is a really unique hybrid program that gives you the intimacy of one-to-one support, the training, frameworks and structure of a course, and that community element of a group program. You can read more and apply now at onestepoutside.com/grow. That's onestepoutside.com/grow.